Hello, welcome to More Influence and Impact, the show that unlocks the secrets of multi-six and seven-figure entrepreneurs' success. I'm your host, Celia Faye Meisel, sales growth consultant, and I'm here to help you tap into the wealth of knowledge, strategies, and experiences of today's most influential industry leaders. Today, I have a special guest for you all. It is a treat, and I'm going to bring her up right now. This is Carrie Wulf. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Celia. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. And I would like to introduce everyone to Carrie. She is an operations expert at Wulfden Professional Solutions. She turned her natural gift for organization and operations into a business. She specializes in developing and implementing operational strategies, creating SOPs, aka standard operating procedures, and custom KPI metric dashboards for business owners. So we are going to dive into all of this. And I know, Carrie, don't you refer to you or yourself around something with numbers? What do you call yourself with numbers?
Yes, yeah, I am a self-proclaimed numbers nerd.
Oh my gosh. And I bet your clients love you for that.
They do. They love that I like the numbers and I like to jump into those spreadsheets and just spend hours in their data, and they don't have to mess with it or worry about it at all.
That is great. So let's talk about like the importance of centralizing your business data, because I think we need to paint the picture of this business owner. They have information and data everywhere. It's disorganized, it's chaotic. So let's talk about the problems that creates in the business, and then like that solution and that transformation that comes out of centralizing your data.
Yeah, so what I find a lot of times is that business owners know their numbers because those numbers are in their CRM or those numbers are in their accounting software. And we have numbers in another program. And pretty soon we have numbers in 5 or 6 different places, and they're not using them. They might pull a report at the end of the month, but that's old data. You can't make decisions based on old information. And when you can centralize all your information from all the different places, it is really liberating to have one place to see all the numbers instead of looking in all the places and you don't know what numbers you should be looking for. You don't know what they're telling you. But when you centralize all of that data into a dashboard, it really gives you that ability to make decisions in real time. If you see that maybe your sales page is not converting, you can make that pivot right away instead of waiting to the end of the launch or waiting until the end of the month to look at numbers and say, oh, 2 weeks ago we were doing great and then it went downhill, but what do we do now? And so by seeing those numbers and all your information in real time, you can make those strategic pivots in your business and in your decisions to really optimize your your skills, leverage that information to make a more impactful decision instead of just kind of guessing what happened, or maybe we'll change it this way for this month. It really helps to have it all in one location to see it in real time and make those changes as you see it, the need coming up, instead of basing your information and your business decisions on old data.
Wow. Or no data at all, right? I think
or no data at all. That's even worse, because then you're just, guessing what you need to do. And then
yes.
it's a waste of money and man hours.
Yes, yes. And so like if somebody is going to come and they're going to say like, because nobody really, just like coaching, right? Nobody rolls out of bed and is like, I want to hire a coach or I want to hire a consultant. Very rarely people do. It's like some kind of challenge or problem is arising in their business or their life that's like driving them to like do the thing, and then they want that result. Right. So like, what are some of those problems and challenges that the business owner would face in their business that would lead them to like needing this solution, needing the dashboards, needing to centralize the data?
A lot of times I see people that say, I want to get to $100,000 this year. I want to get to $1 million this year. but they don't know how to get there. So they're trying things that they think might work. Maybe they're pouring a lot of ad spend into a service that's not really their most profitable, but they don't know that because their numbers and their data, it's not centralized, and they don't have someone that can read those numbers, interpret them, and give them those strategic options. So what we do with the dashboard is if a client says, I want to hit $1 million this year, fantastic. So we do an audit of all of their systems, all of their, whatever programs they're using, so that we can figure out where they're at and do that forecast to get them to the end of the year. And when we can see where they're at, that helps us to know what they've got to do to reach that revenue goal. So whether that is changing your strategy, maybe you offer 4 different packages or 4 different services, and you're putting a lot of ad dollars into 1 or 2 of those services, but they're not your most lucrative ones. They're not your big revenue producing services. They aren't going to know that if they're not looking at their data every day or at least once a week to see what those numbers are doing. So with the dashboard, we're able to tell them, hey, look, these 2 services are not producing revenue like you think they are. Let's divert that ad money and start running campaigns for these 2, because these you are really pulling in clients with. And by switching that up and changing that strategy, that's going to help get them to their revenue goal. Maybe they have just launched a new website and they don't know what to be tracking. And how are they going to know if their new copy is converting? Or what is their most popular blog post that we need to push out on more social media channels? They won't know that unless we have a dashboard pulling that information in real time. Yes, you get a Google Analytics report at the end of the month, but that's great. If you had known 3 weeks ago that your blog post was trending and going close to viral, you could have really pushed that out. But you don't know what you don't know. And 3 weeks later, it's no longer the most hottest thing on your website. And so you missed that opportunity to really dial in your social media and your marketing because of what your numbers are doing.
Wow. And so there can be things that are going on in the business that are working and not working. And the owner, founder, CEO doesn't even have like an idea, like you said,
Right.
the trending blog post, or there's things that they miss, or what's more popular on, social media, because like maybe something it's getting, it's getting a lot of interest and views, but you're not watching it. Nobody's really watching it and
Right.
putting it front and center in the business. So when you create, because that solution is you creating these custom KPI metric dashboards to track
Right.
their goals, you're able to put all of these different things into one centralized hub where you can get eyes on everything.
Right. That's exactly it. And it's not a cookie cutter product. You can get some dashboards and put in 3 or 4 different things, but it's a cookie cutter template. It's not customizable. It's just, this is what you can track. This is what you've got. With the way I build out the dashboards, it's specific for each business owner. So we work with them to determine what's your goals, what's important to you to be tracking, so that when they look at their dashboard, they are seeing exactly what they want to see. It's not a cookie cutter option where you've only got 3 or 4 metrics that you're tracking. So one client, one business owner may want to track revenue and sales team stats and hours worked, where another client would want to look at email click rates. What is their website converting at? Where are my trending social media posts? So it's very, very customizable to the specific goals for each client. And there's quite a lot we can track by doing a custom dashboard versus just grabbing whatever you can and plugging in some numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm hearing that it's like, it really depends on their business model too, right? Because like one example is sort of like a direct response, like you're driving people through a funnel. They may be doing a click and buy, like purchasing a course on the other side, where somebody else may be driving leads to a sales call. And so you're really looking at the marketing and the sales performance, because even if you're tracking revenue, you still want to be looking at what's going on in the marketing, because the marketing is driving those leads into the sales.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and then from there, do you kind of advise your clients on the direction to take based on the numbers?
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite parts. Aside from spending hours in the numbers and building out the data models, we work very closely with the clients, depending on what level of support they want. If they only want a report sent to them at the end of every month, more than happy to do that. If they want to strategize and do a one-on-one call, we can go over the report, talk about what we're seeing as a win, where we are, maybe we are $50,000 ahead of Q3 from last year. Or, I see email click rates, they're trending up. Let's see what else can we do in your email strategy to get that a bit higher. So we look at those different wins and the watch outs and strategize how can we fix it. If it's a area we see trending down or in a decline, we take a deeper look at it. We look at what they're doing and then come up with some suggestions and options to get that trending back up the right way. And if we're ahead in the game, then we look at and say, we're X amount or X percentage away from your revenue goal, and we're doing it faster than what we anticipated. So that one-on-one strategy call is really beneficial for the business owner because it gives us an option or an opportunity to learn their business better and learn what their methods are in their business model, because that helps us to fine-tune our strategy suggestions on how to make sure we're going to hit their goals at the end of the year.
Yes, yes. And it takes, like you said, the guesswork out. And because I think a lot of times, like business owners, they're looking at their numbers loosely.
Right.
And then there's like an emotional charge around it too, right? Like, especially around revenue and marketing stats especially if things aren't going the way that they want to, because I work with clients to come in and really help with their sales challenges that they're having. And so there's usually some emotional charge around that they're not necessarily able to see it objectively.
Right.
And that can lead to, not great decision makings or impulsive hires. Whereas when you have the numbers in front of you, it's the cliche, but it's true. The numbers don't lie.
Right. The numbers don't lie. And, speaking of those impulsive changes, when you just look at the numbers on a spreadsheet and you make one of those impulsive changes, you're not understanding what was happening before that change that you're going to do. And so you make that impulsive decision and you're not going to be able to see what happens after that because it's just numbers on a sheet. But when we build it out in a visual model, there's so many different options to build out data models. You can look at that and see, month 1, we were really high, month 2 was lower, but why? And so looking at the data visually versus just numbers in a cell really helps you to understand that data story better than just looking at numbers on a sheet.
Mm-hmm. And I love you said visual, because I work with visionaries, and visionaries love the visual. They love to see it, and it brings them joy for their operator to come and show them the visuals that they can watch.
Well, and when you can look at those visuals in a dashboard that's actually branded in your brand colors with your brand assets on it, that gives you even more of an emotional charge to click that button and see what your numbers are doing, because it's like a very customized, specific to your brand dashboard that you're looking at. So I love being able to customize it with my clients, brand colors and fonts and logos and the imagery that they use, being able to put that into a dashboard. It really does make it more visually appealing, and they're excited to look at it because they're seeing their own stuff. It's not just whatever, when you're in the doctor's office and they have these just generic things coming up. Yes. It's not like that. It's yours. You look at that and know that is yours. And that's exciting for me to give a product like that to the client.
Yes, I love that it has their brand aesthetic. And yes, there is that emotional connection with it. Because even when I was, it's not operations, but when I was building out my show branding that we have here, it made me so excited and wanting to show up and connect with it. So the same thing for the dashboards. And so one thing that I was hearing you say, it's like you come and set up the dashboards, but then it's not just one and done, right? Like, okay, we did it, now we're out. So tell us about that process. We know about the strategy call, but like you're watching and you're running reports. So tell us a little bit about that behind the scenes work that you do.
So while they're doing their thing, running their business, we're on the back end watching their numbers, making sure all their data sources stay connected. And when something breaks or that connection goes away, we immediately know, hey, we need to get this reconnected, get those numbers running again. Looking at it from the back end, we're also able to see where there's maybe an area to watch out for, that maybe we see this is trending down. We need to make a pivot before our monthly strategy call to see if we can get this trending in the right direction. So it's very much a hands-on, keeping an eye on things on the back end so that when they're looking at their dashboard and information, they're getting the best information and representation possible.
Yes, yes. And so if something comes up, you're able to say, "Hey, like this thing happened. This is going on." Like you said before, it's not looking at old data, it's real time, and so you can make those decisions in real time as necessary.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the other another backbone of the business that you help with, which is those standard operating procedures / SOPs. They're a hot topic. Everybody wants their SOPs. So let's talk about just an overview of like how they benefit the business. And then let's also kind of get into some of maybe the wrong ways that people are approaching them, and how to set their business up the right way with SOPs.
Yeah. So everybody wants SOPs, but nobody wants to write SOPs.
Right.
That's one of the biggest challenges, is that I need them, I want them, but I don't want to sit down and write them. I don't know if my VA can sit down and figure out how to write an SOP, but really you need them, really. One of the biggest reasons that you need an SOP is, if you have an operations manager that's kind of your right hand in the business, but what if they, decide, what, I'm done working, here's my notice. Are you going to know everything that they're doing for your business? And even if you know what they're doing, do you know how they do it? And that's where those SOPs really come in handy. Especially, if there's an accident, heaven forbid, that you get into an accident or you get really ill and you're not able to make business decisions, what's going to happen with your business? Do you have a plan in place for what to do if you can't make those business decisions? So I think probably the single most important SOP a business owner can have is that emergency plan. In case of emergency, we've all heard it, to put in your phone. They call it your ICE contact in case of emergency. But you need to have that for your business too. Do you want your spouse making business decisions on your behalf? I certainly don't. I do not want that happening. But then who does that decision fall to? Is it your second in charge? Is it your VA? You don't want your business to completely crumble and stagnate and stop because you're not able to make the decisions. So that's, anytime I work with a client, that's the first SOP we ever write, because if something happens to them, if they're traveling to a speaking engagement or an event and I can't reach them, I need to know what I'm supposed to do if I can't get a hold of them. So that's the first one. And really, the next most important one are your revenue earning SOPs. How do you do your invoicing? If you offer a service that is your biggest revenue generator, what goes into that? And so having all of those different processes documented is really important.
Yeah. And so, a lot of businesses, they're not going to start there, right? They're going to maybe start with like how to make a marketing post and how to do this and how to do that. And they're not necessarily thinking from an operational standpoint.
Right. They're thinking,
set up those.
They're thinking, what's going to be the easiest one for me to write?
Yes.
What's going to be the fastest one for me to write? And while I call those the nice to have SOPs, but they're not the ones you should write first. It's the ones that really impact your revenue and your bottom line and the way your business operates. Those are the ones that need to take priority and get written first.
Mm-hmm. And so I'd love to know, because my audience is, I'm working with multi-6 and 7-figure business owners, and a common problem that they have is really stepping into that CEO role, and they become the bottleneck in the business where everybody's going to them, right? Like, so it's just, they can't even get into a flow. Visionaries, they love to be creative and be in the flow, and they can't even, because constantly, people are messaging them and slacking them and all of that stuff. So how can having SOPs and even these dashboards, if applicable, help them to not be the bottleneck and not be the person that the team is just constantly picking at for information and with questions?
So another SOP that we work on, we call it the team communication expectations or client communication expectations. And in that's where we outline and get really granular with when should you reach out to the CEO? Who should be reaching out to the CEO? And we kind of review, what's the chain of command, or who do I reach out to first? And if they don't have the answer, who do they reach out to? So that you're not always going straight to the CEO, you're utilizing the resources and the channels that you've already have. And that will take a lot off of the CEO, because then they know their team can handle it. Their team knows who to contact, when they should contact them. And, it's frustrating as this CEO who's trying to not do all the things, but is forced to do all the things because they don't have it written down for any of the processes. And so a lot of times as they've been building their business, they've been the ones that create these processes and workflows, but it's hard to let go. It's hard to trust someone to do a task when you've always been the one that has done it. And so with that, I like to call it the 80-20 rule. If my VA can do it 80% as well as I can, I'm going to hand it off and trust that she can take care of it. But in order for me to hand that off, I've got to have the SOP.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if there's something that you want to hand off and there's a task that you want to get off your plate, you need the SOP to be able to delegate it out.
And then it's very freeing to be able to say, hey, Kathy, I need you to take care of this. Here's the SOP. It includes the workflow. It includes a video walkthrough of how it's done. If you have any questions, please let me know, but I'm going to trust you to take care of this from here on. It feels liberating to be able to lift those things off of their plate, because we've got that well-documented workflow and SOP for the team members to handle it.
Absolutely. And I think something else worth bringing up as we wrap up here is the importance of that hub of where the SOPs are going, right? Because if they're all over the place and they're scattered, they're really not useful.
Yeah. I like to build, a lot of times when people hear SOPs, they think corporate, that maybe entrepreneurs or coaches don't really need them because they're thinking of this huge binder of all these SOPs and procedures. A digital SOP library is amazing because you can build it out on a spreadsheet. You have one folder that has all the SOPs, and then you just link them out on the spreadsheet, and then you can note what the SOP, what it is, who's responsible, share the document. There you go. And just being able to just give them a link to view the SOP instead of having files everywhere. It really having that centralized location is really nice, because you know exactly where everything is. You don't have to remember which folder did you put it in, who did I give access to. It makes it a lot easier when you organize it in one document and have links to all the SOPs.
And don't you have you have an SOP library, right, that you sell and that people can come purchase SOPs from you? Yeah, tell us a little bit about that, and then also how people can connect with you if they want to inquire about your services.
Yeah, so I do have in my website, it's Wulfden Professional Solutions.com. I have an SOP shop, where I've got templated, customizable SOPs for you. It's super easy. They download as a Word document. It comes with a companion workflow, and all you have to do is highlight the areas that you need, fill in your specific information, and there's your SOP. Right now we have about 8 different ones, including the business in case of emergency plan. And really, in the time that you would spend watching your Netflix obsession, you could customize all those highlighted areas and have a fully functional SOP that is specific to your business. And there you go. It really makes it easy. I also have a template spreadsheet in the shop for how to track your SOPs all in one location, how you can get them digitally organized and share that out with your team as necessary.
Excellent. So that's a DIY, right? They can buy the templates, and then if they want done with you, done for you, they would come and speak with you directly about your professional services, where
Right.
you come in and work inside of their business with them.
Correct. So the template shop is a DIY, or you can book a VIP day and I'll work specifically with you for 4 hours, and we will start getting your SOP library built and written and customized just for your business.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Carrie. And we will have all of Carrie's information in our show notes. And you can come and click all of the links and come check her out and find her on social as well. We appreciate your expertise, Carrie. These are such important conversations to have as entrepreneur CEOs are scaling and they want to grow and they want to get to that $1 million mark and beyond. These are just the absolute non-negotiable essentials. And I just appreciate you coming on and our paths crossing so we could have this conversation, because they're going to get so much value from this.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure being here.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to More Influence and Impact. This is Celia Faye Meisel, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.